let's finish this beautiful design. I just had a dragonfly in the studio and I wanted to save it. I was gonna say him, but him, her, it. I just wanted to save it. It was just banging itself against the walls. Okay, so back to this beautiful little fall design here. We are going to put in, because everything is very tight to the design, we're now gonna bring out some product that's gonna give it a little movement. Okay, let me get my glue gun out of the way. And we're going to use, if I can get it out of this plastic. Oh, me and the plastic. We have such issues with plastic. We're going to use this. This is Broom Corn. So in some other videos, you've seen a product very similar that we call black sorghum. This is Broom Corn. It grows tall, like 12, 14 feet tall, and then it has this beautiful product on it. Again, it is a seed. I just look at the movement of it. So we're going to use, and it comes in like this is a bunch. So there could be a piece like this. There could be a piece that's very, very stiff and upright. There could be this beautiful floppy piece, which is sort of perfect because it gives us choices. And what is better in life than choices? Okay. So we're going to start, I don't know, I just sort of feel like this one. Sometimes I don't understand why I grab certain things, but probably just my eye picks it up, you know, before the thought process does. So we're going to use this. This is just flowing. We want to create movement. We're not going to go higher than this right now, but I'm going to pull this pod forward and I'm going to push it in right next to that. This has a very thick stem, and I did say that in certain times we might have to use glue on that. Look at that. Look at the other dimension that just happened with this, just one piece. Okay, here's another one. Well, I'm not, and that almost looks like some mice got into it, although I don't have mice in here. It could have been out in the field. This one is not as floppy. I'm just going to pick and choose the ones that I really sort of like. This one's very vertical. And the really floppy one, I'll show you how we can use this a little differently. So this one I want to just cut again. I'm going to put right in here. Doesn't have the same motion as the other one. Forget that one. I'm going to, I cut it a little short. That's why I said forget that one. I didn't want to admit it, but I'm going to. I might have to choose. Let me see if I have another package of this, which I think I do. Wow, and what a different color, just very dark. Look at that. Oh my goodness, that is brick red. Wow, I just am in love with this stuff. Okay, I'm gonna peel this husk down just to get in there. And I'm really gonna try and spread it out, which I think it will now that it's been released from that. And we are gonna have to put glue on this. This was the problem with the last piece that I pulled out. It's hitting other stuff in there. So it won't go in far, but where it does go, it will have glue to hold it there. It's gonna hold it there for a moment. Okay, isn't that stunning? Just changes the piece. So this is the original piece that we had, that I pulled out. Boy, there's a lot of product on some of these. They're very, very full. I'm gonna use these two together. They're thin. So I think if I lower one, like there, it'll give a little more dimension to that when we put it in, okay? But considering it is two pieces and we need to glue both of those in because we're running out of foam in there. What am I gonna use? I guess I'm gonna use one of these stiff wires and tape. Tape as much as you can just to make sure it all becomes one piece. I circle this around the finger so I don't lose it and, you know, drop it on the bench and the rest of the tape gets filthy. Okay, so it's all one piece. It's heavy. This will hold it though, and that being thin will also give us a opportunity to put it down in the foam a little more. See? Okay. 4 right here. You'll be able to distance it. North, south, east, west. You'll pick right up on it with your eye. Okay, here's one that has a lot of movement. We're going to go very close to that because the longer I cut that, the more this is going to drape. So I'm going to put, actually probably that much of this is going to sink down in. I'm going to put glue on it. I'm going to angle that just a little bit. Glue, 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 glue. Okay, and here we go. I can't see anything without moving stuff. And hold it, and there we have it. That has a lot of movement. Okay, look at that. Excuse me. So what we're going to do down here, we have, well, let's use this one because it's already sort of open. See what I mean? So I'm going to just take a handful, cut it, give it a stem. I'm going to just use these little green ones. They're right here. This is lightweight, not because it's not a whole piece. I will say the whole pieces are heavy. They're heavy, heavy. And this does not shed either, which is pretty sweet. You would think it would, but it is dried. However, if you live in an old home and you have mice, like the black sorghum, okay, we're gonna go right in between those two and we're gonna go right here. See what's happening here? It's just delightful. Take another little clump. Give it a stem. Tape. Go right in here. Look, it just made the entire design larger as well. Without much, really. We're going to do something in the top. We're going to have to find a perfect one that's pretty vertical, although it's tough to find with these. The black sorghum really comes in a variety of sizes, but the broom corn, usually it's pretty full like this. These, even though I'm putting them on the side, I am angling them so they really sort of come out horizontally. And then we're going to put one right in here just to balance it out. Okay, where's my pile here? There we go. This is actually just the last of it on this piece. There we go. They're all different lengths. And that's okay. It's the nature of really how it grows as well. Let's see if we can create a stem. Okay, last of the tape. I'm going to put it right in here. Squeeze that right on there nice and tight so that wire doesn't pull off. Okay, there's a lot right here. Pretty heavy duty. So we're going to bring something up, and this is the most vertical piece I have, so I sort of feel like we're going to try and get that one in there. You know, the rest is just has such movement, and we don't want it to go in one, excuse me, in one direction and not the other. Oh, dusty stuff. Okay, so glue. Here I am teaching you, and I'm not doing it myself. Okay. I can't see anything as to where it's going, so I'm going to just trust that the universe is going to direct it. And wherever it goes and as it sits there, it'll harden a little bit. Okay. It's getting pretty wild. Actually, you know what I might do? I might just trim off that top leaf so we can see more of this. There. Sometimes, whoops, it's not in. My goodness, can you believe you're taking lessons from me and I'm doing this? Less than perfect job. Okay, here we go. There. Now she did it. Okay, so this, we're just going to push aside. We're going to throw these big stems away. And a couple more things I'd like to put in. Again, it's all about different textures. And so we're going to, now that everything is in sort of this creamy peach to terracotta color, brick color, we're going to go back and we're going to put some foliage in, but a completely different texture, which is just going to soften this, okay? This is a product that comes out of France, I believe. This is a real fern. It is just amazing. So it's treated with the glycerin, the copolymer, a little bit of dye, and then they're pressed. I don't know. How do you improve that? You don't. So I'm going to go on the back side. And just because it's so big, it's so long, but we're going to start on the bottom and then we're going to work our way up. Okay. So I always do this. Okay. Trim it to where you want it. Softly, right there beneath that, that's my stem. Okay, it's super lightweight, so we don't need to worry about adding pick or wire or anything. We might if we just do the top and it's short, but let's just go right in and let's just start using it and then you'll understand. See the different dimensions? Still following the length of this, softer, more delicate. So this piece, being that we have a little depth in there, these are not going to lay flat. I mean, I love that it is pressed, however, sort of unnatural unless you're really doing a piece and coming down like that. So I'm just gonna push that right in there. It's not gonna have to go far because there's no weight to pull it anywhere. There it is. And I let it take its shape as it would if it were growing in between botanicals. Okay, again, I'm going to trim these. Once I trim there, I use these around the edge because you can actually just put them even in sideways. Okay. See if I can find some foam in there. Look at it against the bark. It almost looks fake. So let's see if we can get this guy down in there. Nah, he does feel a little short for some reason. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to put that in there. I'm going to keep that stem long. Have to hold the container so it won't tip over. Not that it's wobbly, but just if you're pushing on it, you know. Okay, so now this one is super short. I'm going to put a pick on that one. This is expensive product. I've been waiting for it for about 7 months. It was finally available. Well, my dear, we're going to put that right in there, and we're going to put that right back where it was, and I don't even remember where it was now. It looks like it was right there. Okay, here we go. Let's put this guy in. Okay, we're going to put a tall one right up in there. So this one we're going to use the whole piece. Is that broke? No, it's just flowing. So, and it's a smaller piece. Actually, the back few are all smaller. So we're just going to trim it like that. I'm going to fold it in. I'm going to go to, and what I'm going to try and do is hide this stem. If I can find some foam. Dear, dear. There we go. Whoop, Beautiful, just beautiful. And then I think we're gonna put one maybe right in here, in a taller. Tell me what you think. Last one, we used a whole package. I think there's 12 pieces, 10 or 12 pieces in here. Cost, I think, $9.50. There. So, because that's not enough for me, I think we should put some feathers in. Do you guys feel good about feathers? We could do a couple different things. This, wild turkey, they're just perfect. They've actually been plucked. Some of them I cut, but these I were, for some reason I was able to pull out. So I'm gonna put some of these in, and we're gonna just start somewhere. The taller ones we are gonna have to put a stem on because we can't reach in there, but let's just start let's just start right down here. And they are all going to, because they're all from probably the left side of the bird, they're all in the same direction. So we're just gonna do about 5 on the bottom. 2, 3, 4. It's just so fun. 5. Evenly spaced, 5 are on the bottom. Okay, and now we're going to put a second layer in, but this is where we're going to have to pick them, and we're going to need a long stem. So we're going to take, again, one of these cardboard stems. It won't take much to tape that on. It's so super feather light. There we have it. Trim it, trim it, trim it. Bend it a little bit. It's amazing, even there's barely room for that little tiny. And you don't want to force too much. You know, the thicker ones, you sort of have to just push slowly and hold. These, there's no reason to force. It's just beautiful. And the chocolate brown against the coral and the peach, rich green. Lucky us. Lucky us. Okay. Down, trim, 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 trim. Bend it just a little bit. I'm gonna move that fern. It's gonna go right in there. Whoop! That's what I mean about forcing it too much. Sometimes it just gets away with you. You know, 30 years and I still don't have any control. Okay, here we have tape. Trim it a little bit. Bend it a little bit. And they're going to put 3 up on the top. And I'm not going to put one on the top. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing. It's just because it's struggling to find a place in that block of foam where it's not bumping into other stuff. Okay, there's our piece. It's pretty beautiful. I'm very happy with it. So the last thing we're going to do, we're going to move these feathers back in their little safety place, is we're going to moss some of the seam so that it's just not an eyesore, okay? Let me grab some moss. And we will do that. Look at this moss. It's just delicious. Just delicious. Okay, so where's our seam? Let's talk about this. Right here. Okay. So if I were just to moss the whole thing, it would look so unnatural and it would just draw your attention to it. So I'm going to make it look like it grew. It was just up there and it just sort of spread, but it's not going to follow the straight line. I really don't feel like we need to do anything on the bottom here. It's a bit cleaner than it is up here. Okay, so let me put some on there. Sometimes it's easier when you're working with moss because it's not, you know, it's come off the ground and it's not just a solid sheet. And if you're using a big piece and you put glue on it, it could easily seep through. So what I do is I hold this, make sure I've got enough glue. I braced it against my Buddha belly. And I run out of glue just as I'm doing it, but it has to run out sometime, and it only runs out when you're using it. Okay, so I'm just making this pattern. So I just started down there, sort of went up here at an angle, and then I just start laying this on. Get your hands out of the way. Some of it we can tuck right up on inside, which we're going to go around after and finish that up there anyway. And then if you, sometimes I have here, I better not use that. A piece of cardboard or something, just to make sure, because this is a good time that you can burn your hand. So you can just press it on with something. Press it on. And then some of this is going to fall away. You can always take your scissors, trim it a little bit. Like that. That didn't get any glue, so we could just trim that. We could put a little more glue right up in there. It's still right up underneath. Ouch. There's a lot right here. I'm afraid, I think we should just trim it a little bit. There. Okay, so it looks like it's just sort of growing there. And because we've done that, I'm just going to do a nice little, so it looks like it sort of started down here as well. Put my hand on it. Just a little free swirl here. Make it look natural, natural, natural. Where's that cardboard? And then trim away what's loose. I always lift it a little bit and put glue in there too. But if you don't cover the glue, then it's gonna dry, you know, dry on the, how cheap. It's going to dry on the bark and then you're going to see it. Okay. And then the last thing we want to do, take little pieces like we've done in other designs, a little bit of glue on it. And then when you flip this up and you see areas like this, just put some moss in there. If it's deep enough so you don't have to use glue, you don't have to. But again, it's just making it a little more perfect. Nobody's going to look under there anyway, but if there was that fussy guest that like to pick things apart, you know, this is a completely different kind than the other. Obviously, it's harvested from the wild. I don't know. I don't know if this is farmed. I would, if there's a moss farm, I want to go because moss is a pretty magnificent specimen. Okay. There you are. We could even trim this a little more. Actually, you know what we should probably do is maybe just rip it because it would look more natural than scissor cuts. No more freeing. Whoops. There, I guess it wanted to come off there. That definitely looks more natural. This is pretty durable. This is the preserved moss, and it will stay nice and green. It is and soft. Okay. That's what we did. Pretty happy with it. Thanks. I hope you had a fun day.